Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And this week we get to experience the Levolution of Battlefield 4. Will it be Levolved Hex? That's a real question. Or will it be a real evolution of gaming?
We're upside down.
That wasn't my best. That wasn't my best pumping.
Also this week, Goose starts and restarts in the Stanley Parable.
Eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Plus we sharpen our katana for Shadow Warrior. That's a personal weapon.
But first, can you guess the game for this week?
High taxes are the source of some grumbling in the city.
Rome considers your efforts to be mediocre.
News time, Bajo.
Okay.
Good game.
Electronic Arts has revealed that it has cancelled development on the upcoming free-to-play Command & Conquer game and shut down the studio behind it, Victory Games. EA stated that the decision came following feedback from the game's closed alpha test that indicated the game was not what players wanted.
We failed to see the ghosts from the past rising anew, sworn to end our supremacy.
And in more EA news, it has been announced that the company is ending its partnership with Tiger Woods on the Tiger Woods PGA Tour series. No specific reason was given for the decision, but it is said that the split is mutual. EA Golf Games have used Woods' name since 1998. Microsoft Game Studios has hired British TV and radio personality Jonathan Ross as an executive producer. All that has been disclosed is that Ross will work as a consultant across Microsoft's UK development studios, including Rare and Lionhead. Head of Microsoft Europe's interactive entertainment business, Phil Harrison, said they hope Ross can challenge the way they build games and think about entertainment. Ubisoft has announced that it will be scrapping its online Uplay Passport program. The passports were one-use codes which allow access to various online features and online multiplayer. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is the latest game to include the passport, but gamers without one will be able to access those features for free. Passports will be eliminated from all future Ubisoft games.
Good game.
Hex, are you ready to unleash the Wang? Roll the montage.
Apply the touch.
You got the touch!
Goddamn right. Ha! Cowabunga, assholes! Let's go!
You got the power!
It's like you brought claws to a sword fight.
The hell's breaking loose! You'll be right in the eye of the storm!
Oh! Lay it down!
Woo! Shadow Warrior is a reboot of the 1997 3D Realms game of the same name, which was one of my all-time favourites as a kid, Hex. And it comes to us from Flying Wild Hog, the same developers behind the very decent Hard Reset.
You have the sword, I have the cash.
I was told that today I would meet the man behind all this, and yet here you are.
You play as Lo Wang, a man who's been hired to track down the Nobitsura Kaji, a special mystical katana.
The sword is not for sale.
There is a surprisingly decent story here, but as you might expect from something based on a 3D Realms game, it's a tad crass in places. There is a heady mix of racial stereotyping, abundant Wang jokes, and extreme violence.
Guess I was just too much Wang for them to handle.
It's very tongue-in-cheek though, isn't it? It's got that self-deprecating kind of humour and those cheeky one-liners to let you know that the developers are fully aware of what you might be thinking.
Shit. I was hoping for a more cliched setting. I guess koi ponds and cherry blossoms will have to do.
But what actually matters is that it's actually great fun.
The combat is really satisfying, isn't it? Although it is hard to talk about without sounding like we're glorifying violence, because it is super violent, but it's also fun. Decapitations and dismemberments come thick and fast as hordes of demons throw themselves at your katana, which is gross, but it does make you feel super powerful. If you took the restaurant scene from Kill Bill and multiplied that by like 1,000, then you'd have a good idea of the level of violence.
I like that they've included a special version of Viscera cleanup detail. And if you aren't familiar with it, you basically play a janitor who has to go around and mop up all the gore that you leave behind.
I clean again.
This sure looks like it could put some holes in some bodies.
You do get some cool guns to round out your arsenal, but that katana is just too much fun, so I stuck with that for most of the game. You know, it can be really hard to get first-person swordplay right, but I think they've nailed it.
Yeah, and the controls have a real fighting game feel to them, don't they? You unlock special moves which are activated by double tapping in a direction and then holding one of the mouse buttons. So it's not just mindless slashing. Add in some mystical powers and you've got a pretty decent slew of attacks.
Well, look at that. Meet pinatas.
Which is good because there's no room for playing defensively.
And there's always a new enemy type around the corner to keep things interesting. There's usually a mix of your mindless demons, ranged attackers, and giant shielded foes to keep you on your toes. There's occasional boss fights too, which are okay, but they're not particularly clever and can feel like a bit of a grind as you just chip away at their health.
The upgrade trees were surprisingly deep too, as you work your way through skills, powers, and weapons.
What is this?
A shrine of some kind.
To upgrade your powers, you need to track down key crystals throughout the levels. Weapons are upgraded with any cache you find, and skills through karma points awarded for fighting.
I mostly quite liked the level design. There are some beautiful environments. They did seem to love locking doors behind magic seals which force you to find and break various coloured statues to get past though, didn't they? And that led to a bit of annoying backtracking, but at least there's a lot of loot and collectibles to distract you as you explore.
I did find myself getting lost a little bit, but in the end, I didn't really care because this is a great reboot. I'm sad there's no multiplayer because I just have these great memories as a kid playing this game modem to modem with friends. Still, I was surprised at how much fun I had with this. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Well, this is fast-paced, old-school action with a badass katana. I wish there were more swordplay games like this. It's not particularly cerebral, but I had damn good fun with it, so I'm giving it 8. And now, here's Goose.
Good game.
Every once in a while, it's nice to come across a game that you weren't expecting. The kind of game that creeps up on you and then stays with you long after you've finished playing.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door and Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Platform and plunged to his death. Stanley began screaming.
Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
And everything went black.
The Stanley Parable was originally developed as a Source Engine mod back in 2010. Its creator, Davey Redden, said that he set out to discover something about video games that hadn't been explored yet. More specifically, what would happen if you could disobey their rules.
You see? It's nothing. No one's even built this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
The game tells the story of Stanley, an average man who finds solace in his simple and mundane office job. However, on one particular day, it appears that all of his co-workers have suddenly disappeared. Guided by the narrator, Stanley must step out of the safety of his little cubicle and begin his adventure to find out what exactly is going on.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
And that really sums up my whole review, so I'm giving the game a total score of...
Whoa, hold on. Is Goose finished already? But he skipped the entire review. All right, hang on. I'm going to have to reset. One moment, please.
XCOM Enemy Unknown is an isometric strategy...
Sorry, wrong review. Let's give this one more shot.
Ah, much better. Now, at first glance, it might seem easy to categorise this as another artsy walk-em-up in the vein of something like Proteus or Dear Esther. They all have very simple settings, long-winded narration, not much to interact with, and of course, no jump or weapons. So what exactly do you do in the Stanley Parable? Well, essentially, you make decisions. This is because the driving force behind the game is that of choice. You decide how you play the game, and the game responds accordingly.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
And these decisions may appear simple. Left or right, over there, over here, touch that, definitely don't touch that. Meanwhile, you're guided by the soothing sound of the narrator, voiced brilliantly by British voice actor Kevin Brighting.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
The narrator will attempt to successfully guide you to the end of the game by advising you which path to take, as well as narrating the inner monologue of the now troubled protagonist Stanley.
What a room, Stanley thought to himself. What a room, what a room, what a room. Va-va-voom. What a room. This is what Stanley thought.
And it's using this narration that the game achieves a level of hysterical self-awareness and brilliant charm that's very similar to that in the Portal series.
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
This dynamic narration will react to the decisions you make, often breaking the fourth wall and talking to you directly.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
And should you decide not to listen to these directions and disobey, the resulting dialogue and consequences can easily spin out of control into the strange and the surreal.
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
But to say or even show you any more of the game would no doubt ruin the experience, because no two playthroughs of the Stanley Parable are ever really the same. And multiple playthroughs are inevitable in a game that encourages you to poke and prod at its structure.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Almost everyone in the Good Game office walked away from this game with a different story to tell. Depending on how your experience plays out, at some stage or another, you'll no doubt be forced to return back to Stanley's office to once again set out to look for your co-workers. And it's here that you might decide to stop playing the game, and that's totally fine. But in my experience, after you've been presented with so many variables, it's very hard to resist that urge to go back and try out every possible deviation, especially when they can alter the game so radically beyond your expectations.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
And this kind of thinking is just so refreshing. I found myself laughing with confusion and disbelief because every time I pushed the game would push back.
Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
I guess the only disappointing moment for me was when I came to the stark realization that the game couldn't possibly live up to the illusion it had created of having infinite choice. However, this was more bittersweet as I soon came to the realization that any game that gave me this feeling of absolute freedom, if only for a brief moment in time, was truly remarkable.
We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
The Stanley Parable might not be for everyone, but in my opinion, it should be played by everyone. It's a hilarious experiment in psychology and non-linear game design that will teach you more about yourself as a gamer than you might want to know. So I'm giving it 10 out of 10. Oh, that's nice.
I think that would probably have to be, I forgot the name right, it's been so long since I played it, Karateka? It's a little karate game. It's a real simple side-scroller karate game. A very simple game, but man, I was hooked on it for so long. I'm sure if I brought it up now and looked at it, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty raw. But I have fond memories of that game. I just loved it. It had cinematic qualities to it. I think that was one of the first games that sort of showed you, hey, these side-scrollers can do a little more than just jumping. They were simple cinematic moments, but they were new, they were fresh, and I like that.
Good game! Battlefield 4 is big, frantic, and spectacular, and of course, full of explosions.
We reviewed Battlefield 4 on PC, and it truly is a thrilling and complex game in online multiplayer. But every rose has its thorns, so let's get the single-player campaign out of the way.
Yes, it's the year 2020, and Russia, China, and the US are on the brink of war, I think.
Now, if your operation blows up, Chang will have all the excuse he needs to give all that anger, all that hate, a real target.
It's a twisty-turny political plot, and it all rests on your shoulders. It's basically up to you to save the day by defeating an entire army with squad mates who I think went to Stormtrooper Academy.
Yeah, they are just terrible at shooting things, aren't they? And I agree, the story is a bit tedious, playing out through cutscenes that fail to communicate clearly what's going on.
Who are these VIPs?
They're very important people. Significant woman and her husband. We're getting them out in one piece. That's all you need to know.
You can tell I've tried to put some highly emotive moments in this game to make you feel something for the characters, or anyone really, but it really misses the mark, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit cliched, isn't it? I felt like every time they wanted me to feel sad or patriotic, they just play this really soft, sad music underneath.
Follow us, we'll get you to safety!
Irish, what are you doing? You can't just leave me back.
Well, they just let someone pointlessly die.
Shoot it open!
They're dead already. Let's move. Fuck, we are.
Didn't know him. Don't care.
Everyone okay? All right, take it safe.
I actually quite enjoyed the first couple of hours of this campaign. But by the end of it, I was literally yelling at my computer screen because of long checkpoints and difficulty spikes.
Yeah, and once again, you play an entirely mute character who is just sort of there to carry out orders. I don't know, I didn't really connect with him at all.
It's always weird when they talk to you and then your character just says nothing back. I do like that you have to slowly pick your way around the map in these tough fights though, and the most impressive moments in it for me were where it just showed off something technical, like those amazing storm and wind effects. Oh, those trees in the wind. I've never seen anything quite like it, Hex.
Yeah, the atmosphere is definitely there, but it's like the single player is more of a tech demo for what the engine can do. The good news is Battlefield Online has been pulled apart and put back together again to create a balanced, strategic monster of a game. It's full of dynamic, tactical environments, big moments, and lots of important small changes that further refine the online experience.
Cool.
Yes, DICE haven't strayed too far from the formula, but what they have changed and included, I think, makes it the finest in the series. While there is no co-op this time around, which is a shame, all the regular game modes return, and there are 2 new ones. Obliteration has teams finding a bomb and then taking it to a detonation point. It's a bit like Capture the Flag and Rush put together. Then there's Defuse. This is a 5-on-5 bomb defusal round in which you only have 1 life, which is very Counter-Strike.
Get on it, press the button, press the button.
It's these modes that really show how important teamwork is to win the match, not just a good kill-death ratio, and that's something the Battlefield series has always embraced.
Need a mid shield. Allow me. Alright, disarm.
What really stood out for me though, Hex, are those big dramatic events that happen during the course of a map that they kind of tested the waters a bit with Battlefield 3, but now they're in full effect.
Yeah, the scale of the action is intense.
This pretty map.
I thought it was especially novel how you could flood the whole city in the flood zone map, suddenly rendering half the vehicles useless. Making it so you have to swim your way between points. And the lifts on that Siege of Shanghai map, Bajo, riding the lift all the way to the top just to find a whole firing squad waiting there for you.
I'd always be facing the wrong way when the doors open. But yes, these maps are full of variety and scale. There's room for jets and helis and tanks to battle it out.
This guy had an ATV.
But there are plenty of tight zones too, such as the close quarters building destruction of Golmud Railway. And that map in particular really took me back to the Bad Company 2 days. All that destruction is back.
Yeah, it's just nice knowing that you can blow a hole through a wall instead of having to go around it. And seeing those buildings come down, especially when enemies are camping in them, gives you a bit of a rush.
Down it comes.
And actually, speaking of rush, it's this classic mode that shows off these maps at their best, with enemies pushing to detonate points. Especially the map Paracel Storm, as you leap from ship to ship, battle with some boats in the rolling seas, fight it out in another, then make your way back to the beachfront under heavy fire. Yeah. Incredible stuff. And the way the storm rolls in and out of the map is so moody.
Yeah. The first thing I noticed when I started playing this game was how your field of view has shifted as a soldier on the ground now. It's no longer just left and right, it's straight up as well. They really have raised the ceilings so high, buildings tower above you. Snipers can go anywhere, and the game really encourages that.
Oh, very top of the building. Oh dear.
Yeah, cheeky snipers.
Cheeky. I like how zeroing is a proper feature for snipers now. Using a rangefinder to get distance and adjusting it to remove bullet drop. It's just cool army stuff that actually works. And generally, I think there's a lot more important refinements that Battlefield players will appreciate, such as how your gun can't disappear into a wall anymore. Your character just angles it around with an adaptive cover system.
Yeah, everything feels so good. Even how, when you move left and right, that slight sway of the gun, and being able to use a pistol in water.
One new feature to the series is field upgrades. These are perks which unlock and roll back during the course of a match depending on how well your squad is doing, and there's various trees available that you can select for your class. It's just another way this game rewards squads for working together.
We're gonna go to B.
Grenade!
Then let's go to C, it's closer. Where are you, Hex?
Sam,
I was just capturing a point for you guys, so don't worry about it.
One common complaint about the Battlefield series is the hit detection, where if you get shot but you're already around the corner, sometimes you'll still die. And it still happens, but I think they've improved it a lot. And there's so much to unlock, Hex. There's sights, different sights, guns, grenades, more sights, double sights, green lasers. And the pistols are finally good again.
Also, helicopters are so much easier to fly now, and that encourages you to fly low and take more risks.
Objective Echo. Whoa!
It's fantastic air combat, isn't it? Vehicle health regens so fast now too, so you can have some great runs with a little bird.
Oh, whose chopper is that?
Hey Goose, look up.
Whoa! Oh, I got him!
Oh man!
Guy on the left, smash him, Hex. Oh dear, oh whoops. Oh no, I panic jumped.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's happening?
Sorry, I may have accidentally abandoned the helicopter.
Very stressful.
The commander mode makes a welcome return with its top-down interface. Back in the Battlefield 2 days, a good commander on your team meant you would win the match.
Dropping care package. Ignore that evac order. Confused, you didn't obey my instructions.
Right now, I think people are still getting used to it and no one really knows what they're doing, so no one pays attention. They don't go where I want them to go.
I'm ordered you to it.
Oh.
Obey my orders.
Just
pay my orders.
Pay attention, but I'm kind of digging it, Hex.
Yeah, I think once people come to grips with it and the tablet version of this mode comes out, we'll see it being a much more important tool, I think. And I just love that there's a chain of command.
I don't think you could be further away from my orders. There's one right there in front of you. Get him. Got him.
Hex, you know how much I like graphics.
Yeah, I think it's totally valid to talk graphics, Bajo.
Yes, well, this game is just beautiful.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Hi.
Do you like rubbish? Flying through the air?
I just found myself stopping mid-battle all the time just to stare at parts of this game.
Yeah, I did notice you got shot quite a lot staring at the ocean instead of, I don't know, helping our squad achieve its objectives. Where's Bajo? Oh, okay, he's staring at the air, now he's dead.
It's good water.
Yeah, look at it on your own time.
That water is very good though, isn't it? I think it might actually be better than Grand Theft Auto 5's water. The foam isn't as good, it's just a texture. I think GTA had better foam of the year, but just those rolling waves, I think, is the best I've seen.
Foam of the year.
It's been a good year for water. But seriously, I do think Battlefield 4 is the most visually impressive PC game out there. In terms of fidelity of the graphics, how much you can scale it in the settings, to the complexity of just how much is actually going on at once and how smoothly that all runs. From the ripples you make in the water to the lighting and the truly high-res textures.
Whoa. Guy come upstairs.
What just hit them?
Oh,
nice.
It really is a gorgeous game, isn't it? So crisp. And those little details really bring it to life. Like the camera shake when things explode near you, or when you see a tank plowing down trees in the distance. But of course, you will need a really good graphics card, or cards, to run this. A few of our friends decided to upgrade for this game.
Yeah, I think it's worth it though. But of course, with all of this technical wizardry, DICE have a few issues to iron out. There's quite a few glitches like floating objects, and the Lansing Dan map on the whole is a bit broken right now. It crashes a lot, and it's even missing a lot of sound.
I found generally the stability of this game to be quite poor. I mean, I was getting crashes all over the place, and that really hurts your XP and seriously slows down how quickly you get those weapon and item unlocks, which is so frustrating.
Yeah, I crashed a lot too, and it always seemed to be when I was winning. When I was having a really good round, oh, crash. I have friends actually who can't play this game at all right now, but DICE have been working tirelessly and they have fixed some of the issues already, so hopefully that will get better in time. We should wrap this up, but just finally, I do like what they've done with Battlelog, and the user interface has had a complete overhaul too, and all of the changes are welcome. They've removed a lot of fiddly menus and squad management stuff, which used to be very frustrating. There's also an emblem editor now, where you create your own unique emblem, and that then appears on your guns and cars, and even on your arms.
Yes, that is quite the paint job, Bajo.
Thanks.
I think overall, Battlefield's multiplayer is undeniably brilliant, but that single-player campaign, Bajo, is just so mediocre, and I don't understand why they can't get that right. It seems such a waste.
I know, but all in all, out of all the hours I spend in Battlefield, maybe 5% or even 3% is spent in the single-player campaign, and it's really a multiplayer-focused game first.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But, you know, I also think that a full-priced FPS should at least have a campaign that introduces you to all the game mechanics to give you a feel for what to expect before going online. But this one didn't even do that very well. I just wish they'd go all the way and create a Spec Ops: The Line style story with real impact, or just go back to Call of Duty 4 style scenarios with just mindless fun.
Yeah, I think DICE are in a bit of a rock and a hard place with this one, because if they were to remove the single-player component, then it would be seen as a step backwards. But I don't think gamers would actually accept a multiplayer-only Battlefield game right now at full price.
No, I think you're right there. That said, if you do only intend on taking your battles online, I think you will get full value out of this. We should also mention that this very much feels like a game made for next gen. The 360 and PS3 versions do pale a bit in comparison, but I'm giving it 8.5.
What I like most about this game is it's got its hooks right into me. I just want to get better at it every time I log on, and every time I see someone else log on, I have to jump into, because they might be unlocking stuff that I don't have yet. I had a great time with this. I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Oh, the chopper's coming back.
Good game.
So did you guess the game for this week? Bajo's asleep. It was Caesar 4. First released in 2006, it was a city-building sim that depicted historically accurate architecture from ancient Rome. Based on extensive research, the game also explored the lifestyle of the Romans who lived during that era.
The finances of our city are currently all in order.
And it was our Guess the Game because it featured Kevin Brighting, the voice behind this week's Stanley Parable.
Next week, we team up with man's best friend in Call of Duty Ghosts.
And over on Spawn Point on ABC3 this weekend, we find out if LEGO Marvel Superheroes is Excelsior.
We're facing a planetary catastrophe that may soon be unleashed by Dr. Doom. He must be stopped.
Until next week, may all your Lego be carefully packed away so you don't step on it during the night. Bajo out.
Hex out.
I'm going to have to reset. One moment, please.
Good game.